Welcome back to the Inside Edge, presented by First Merchants Bank. I'm Bob McElligott. Right now, I am joined by Jordan Harris, who is one of the newest Blue Jackets. He was just acquired in a trade with the Montreal Canadiens. Patrick Laine went to Montreal. Jordan comes back to the Blue Jackets. And Jordan, when you got that call that you were being traded to the Blue Jackets, like, did you see it coming? Did you have an idea that you might be going somewhere, or was it something that was out of the blue for you?
That's a good question. Honestly, I figured that one of the younger defensemen in Montreal would be moved. Jonathan Kovacevic was moved to Jersey earlier in the offseason and kind of had an inkling. I thought maybe I'd get moved last year at the deadline. There were some rumblings about that, but um, I felt like something, had to give at some point with the amount of, talented defensemen that we had in Montreal. And so kind of saw it coming, but still was a bit surprised. I feel like you never really expect to get a phone call when you're just, getting ready for the season, especially a couple of weeks away.
Well, when the call came, what was your thought? When you started to absorb it and realizing that, hey, you're the guy that got traded, you're the guy that's going to Columbus. Once you started to process, what were your feelings?
Definitely a little shocked at first, right? But you know, excitement came really quickly after that. Like and truly and you know, everyone I've talked to, I got a chance to talk to David Savard, yesterday I chatted with him quick on the phone and just how highly he praised Columbus and the organization and everything. Knowing, Sean Monahan who's there now and have crossed paths with a couple other players. So there's a lot of excitement. It seems like a really hungry group, and definitely an underrated hockey market. Like playing there, I played there my rookie year, and it was a great atmosphere. Like it was unbelievable. So new management, new coach. I think there's a lot of hunger there and excitement, and that relates to how I feel with the start of my career as well.
You were a former third round pick of Montreal, and as you just stated, you played a couple of years, a little bit here in the National Hockey League, and you're a college player coming out of Northeastern. So you're coming to, well, it's an NHL town, but it's also a pretty good college town here too.
Yeah, exactly. As I've heard, and I had some buddies who played at hockey at Ohio State, and one player who I played with at Northeastern who's actually playing at Ohio State this upcoming year. So there's a lot of connections there. Again, a lot of love for Columbus. And obviously we'll have to get to a football game at some point.
Yeah, that's I think you'll enjoy that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you talk to David Savard, and of course, David was drafted by the Blue Jackets and spent a lot of time playing here before he eventually moved on to Tampa and got that Stanley Cup ring and then went to Montreal. First class guy, first class act. I loved being around him. And you mentioned that he had so many good things to say about Columbus. And that's got to mean a lot for a young player like you coming from a veteran like David, who's been through a lot of things in his career.
Exactly. And he's like, I mean, the amount of things that he said, I mean, he's like the town, the restaurant, my kids grew up there. He said it was unbelievable. And it's really cool. And I mean, he's a special teammate himself and really fortunate to have been able to play with him the past couple of years. But you know that he's going to be straightforward with you and honest. And so to hear that from him, again, like you said, with all the experience that he's had, meant a lot, definitely. Definitely someone I look up to as well.
Did he tell you what area you might want to look to live in, what good restaurants to go to? Did you guys get to that point, or is that something you'll just have text back and forth as you get here and get settled in?
So after we chatted, and right at the end, he's like, I'm gonna give you a list of good places that you need to know. And he probably sent me, I mean, a list of 10 different restaurants and his wife and my girlfriend were chatting a bit as well. So as of where we're gonna live, we're still trying to figure that out. That's, in progress right now, but hopefully get it sorted in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and it's funny as you say it's in progress. It's kind of late in the game for doing this kind of stuff, right? Not often do people get traded in the middle or the third week of August, but that's what happens to you. So, like there's the life aspect of it, finding a place to live, moving your stuff to a different city, and all of that. But it's a pretty close and pretty tight window for you before that camp gets started, isn't it?
A little bit. I think everyone around me is stressing a bit more than I am, you know? The
I
only
know
thing
that
I
feeling.
really, yeah. And like my mom, like I told her yesterday, she was like almost in tears. I'm like, it's gonna be great. Like playing hockey, it's not like it's great. I'm doing what I love to do, in a great hockey market. And I think the tears or the shock came more from change instead of leaving Montreal, you know? And I think, as a mother, I think she worries just about the well-being of us. And she's like, I already looked at flights, I already looked at all this stuff. And for me, I'm lucky, to have my girlfriend and obviously the Columbus staff has reached out and they've been fantastic with everything so far. So I feel like for me, it might be a little bit easier. All I need to focus on is playing hockey, right? And we're obviously gonna find a place to live and settle in and might have to get some furniture or something. But really lucky to be surrounded by great people who help with some of that stuff.
Talking with Jordan Harris, he is now a Blue Jackets defenseman. I know you're a Massachusetts guy. Is that where you are now?
Yeah. So we got a place in the spring in Burlington, Massachusetts.
All right. So for how far was it if your parents wanted to come see you play in Montreal, what's the distance there?
4.5 hours. Yeah, not a
Okay,
bad drive.
so it's going to be a little bit of a longer drive here.
Yeah, but still we looked it up. It's 12 hours, so it's drivable for sure. Like we'll drive there before training camp. Just have the car and stuff. So it's not terrible by any
Yeah,
means.
it's not the end of the world, right?
Exactly, yeah.
No.
Yeah. The
Uh,
flight's like an hour and a half. Like it's very easy, yeah.
all right. What tell me about your game? Like what are your strengths? If you break down your own game for the fans of the Columbus Blue Jackets, what are they going to see out of you when you're on the ice?
Yeah. Not being the biggest defender. I rely on my feet and my brain and positioning and stick to defend. And I think defending is my strong suit. And I like to take care of defending first as a defenseman, killing plays quickly, using my feet, tight gaps, turning pucks up the other way. Um, I think good outlet pass is huge, especially in today's game. So making those good decisions, coming out of the zone, exiting the zone, killing those plays, and then enjoying the rush. Using my feet to get up ice, and then during the rush, whenever I get a chance to, I definitely like to add in on offense when I can, but not at the expense of defending well and defending first. And definitely have worked on, the physicality side of my game, but I think it definitely all revolves around my feet, positioning, angles, and then adding in where I can offensively, and that's something that I think the next step in my game progression, I think that offensive side is something that I work on a lot in the summer, and I definitely think that's an aspect that I can showcase more and add to my game.
When you talk about the transition game, getting the puck out of your own zone, getting it on the stick of the forwards, I'm sure you've looked at this roster. You know some of those forwards that you have the opportunity to get the puck to. And you had a very talented group there in Montreal as well. Don't get me wrong, but when you look at this, does it excite you the kind of guys that you're going to be around, you're going to play with, and that you can help getting those plays and that transition through the neutral zone started with?
For sure. Exactly what I was thinking. And there's a lot of high-end talent. Like there's a lot of exciting talent and a hungry group, like a young group. And it's great. It's exciting. And those are players that you want to play with, right? And then be in position to get the puck back sometimes, and read off each other. And that's what makes hockey so fun is it's so fluid and you read off each other. And so definitely a lot of really exciting talent. I'm excited to, get on the ice with them and get started soon.
Are there any of the defensemen on this team that you're kind of like, wow, I'm excited to be his teammate, and I wouldn't mind being on the same pair with him?
I mean, everyone, honestly, I think everyone brings their own type of strengths. I haven't played with anyone previously. And obviously you follow the careers of different guys, like Marinsky's a US guy and I followed his career and I followed Pro Rob's career and whatnot. And I met Good Branson briefly this summer in Vegas at the draft. So again, excited to step on the ice and, get those first touches and get started. But everyone brings their own type of strengths and obviously what Juracek has done, in his young career is impressive. So definitely looking forward to it.
And one thing about what you were just talking about there, especially when you bring up David Juracek, it's going to be competitive. I mean, you obviously are aware that you're going to have to come in here and going to have to battle with the guys that are here and the other young guys like you that are trying to win a spot.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want, right? Like I wouldn't want to come to a situation with anything promised or given. And that's how, I've been throughout my career. Like started in prep school, was a good player, but had to work my way up. Third round pick, decently high pick, but still had to work my way up. There's always, the higher prospects, Northeastern, had to work my way up. And so it's just, um, you get to this level and nothing's given to you, right? And that's exactly, how I expected and excited, to earn whatever's, you know, given at the end of the day.
Well, and that's a great outlook, and I think that yeah, that's a life outlook. That's not just a hockey outlook, right? So that's the perfect way to take a look at it. With Jordan Harris, he was traded from Montreal to the Blue Jackets in the Patrick Laine trade. You mentioned Sean Monahan, and I'd like you to just talk about him for a second because you have been teammates with him. For the fans here in Columbus, they've seen him play in Calgary and Montreal, Winnipeg, but what does this guy bring to a team? Because he's somebody else that's coming in here and looking to earn a pretty big and a pretty important role. What was it like being a teammate with him?
Amani's great. He's one as a player, incredibly smart. A guy you can rely on. A two-way player. But the way he processes the game is really what stood out to me most. Like in the right position, has a lot of length to him, like protects the pucks really well, but he's good and tight. Like he can make a lot of slip passes, a lot of really nice dishes, good in the dot. Um, but as a person, I mean, he's hilarious. He's really quiet and you almost think he's shy, but he's really funny. Like if you get to talk to him, like, he's really witty. We'll have like a few like small jokes that kind of fly under the radar. So he has a nickname for everyone, comes up with a nickname for everyone before games. Used to call me Gary. I've never been called Gary once before in my career. Um, but it's just like he's really funny and a great teammate and someone that everyone in the locker room will get along with.
Well, and I'm glad you say that because in talking with Don Waddell, the general manager here, obviously the mandate is to get very talented players because you want to win a Stanley Cup. But it's also very important to get the right mix of players and good people. And everybody talks about it. Everybody wants to have good people, right? I mean, good people that know how to play the game. And just talking to you and listening to you talk and listening to that description of Sean, it sounds like that's exactly the direction that this is going in. And, you've been in this long enough, whether it's college, whether it's now in the National Hockey League, it's those good people that really help to turn you into good teams, isn't it?
Exactly. And you know, you want good players, right? Like you need good players to win. But like there are great players in Columbus. And like you said, at the end of the day, it's the relationships, it's how the team gels, it's how they get along, it's how the communication goes. That's what really drives teams to the next level and what sounds sets a foundation, for the future if you're looking to build, a team and have it grow from the ground up. And it's huge. And Monty will be a big part of that. Like he really will. And he's a great person. And then it's the relationships that you remember down the road. Um, and it's funny how hockey seems to come around a full circle. Like you never know who you cross paths with again.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're absolutely right about that. And you know what? When you're talking about that, it reminds me of years ago, we opened the season in Sweden and we were in Stockholm and we were on an off day. We were walking around and I saw a sign and I took a picture of it because I thought it was important. And the sign said, "Life's all about the stories." And that's really, at the end of the day, you want to be the best hockey player that you can be. You want to be on a team that's successful and you want to win a Stanley Cup and all of those things. But at the end of the day, which is a long ways away for you, I get it. But it's all those stories. I'm sure you've got the college stories that you still tell to this day. That's what really makes it, isn't it?
It is, and that's what you remember down the road. Like I'm not gonna remember my fifth shift of this game, like you're gonna remember the key moments of where you played and you know some of your better games and whatnot. Maybe some of your worst games. Like you're probably gonna remember that too.
Somebody will remind you of those. You won't have to remember.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll probably see it somewhere on YouTube or something. But it's the stories, it's the people, it's how people made you feel, it's the David Savards, it's the, Sean Monahans and that's what really sticks with you.
All right. So what's on the docket for you now? You've been traded here. You just find that out. You're trying to get your life in order. As you said, everybody around you is a little bit more worried about it than you are. But what is the next step as far as when do you pack it up? When do you start heading to Columbus? And when do you hope to be here?
So I mean, just spoke to the equipment manager today, so waiting on some gear, hopefully get some gear the next couple of days. We'll continue skating like I skated this morning. I'll skate tomorrow and Thursday. Just continue with regular life, and then we got to pack up our place here in Massachusetts, so getting that sorted. And then hope to be on the road either the 31st or the 1st. Is the plan right now. So be there for the start of September, which would be really nice. Get skates in for 2.5 weeks before camp starts. And then all the logistics, right? The apartment, figure out where we live and all that fun stuff. So that stuff will come, in due time. But I think for now, just really excited to finish off the summer on a good note, finish training really well, skates, and then get up there soon.
The beautiful part for you is, as all that stuff is coming into play, finding a place to live, you're still going to have to practice and go to the rink. So at least you'll have those built-in breaks.
And that's the fun part, right? Like that's way more fun than building a bed from IKEA or something. That's the fun part. And that's exactly what I'm happy to be doing.
Well, Jordan, we're very glad to have you, and it's great to get a chance to talk to you and see how excited you are about coming to Columbus. So I wish you nothing but the best in getting your gear, getting your workouts in, and then gathering all that stuff up and getting to Columbus. Look forward to seeing you in person here in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you having me on.